Thank you for watching me. During this video, we will discuss the following topic: effects of laws and regulations on IS audit planning. Also, we'll be providing answers for the questions on the screen. Pause the video if you want to read the questions in detail. First of all, I just want to clarify that the CISA examination will only test knowledge of accepted global practices. CISA candidates will not be asked about any specific laws or regulations. However, they will be questioned about how to audit for compliance. It is a fact that organizations need to be in compliance with multiple law requirements or business regulations. Some of those include controls related to computer systems practices, like how information is obtained, processed, stored, and used. Some industries are more regulated than others, so we have to be aware of the specific regulations that the entity we work for should abide by. The banking industry and the stock exchange, for example, are highly regulated. Those regulations affect the way in which computers, programs, and data are used. Penalties for non-compliance are severe if, for example, a bank is unable to provide adequate level of service due to security breaches. The fact sure concerns us as customers, since our funds may be threatened if the security of an online bank interface is questionable. Law regulations are constantly evolving, and when it comes down to information systems and related technology, now more than ever, because of the heavy reliance on information systems and associated technology. Countries are constantly developing regulations related to IS Audit 2. Including establishment of regulatory requirements, responsibilities assigned to corresponding entities, financial, operational, and IT audit functions. Not only IS audit personnel, but also management personnel at all levels should be aware of the external requirements relevant to the goals and plans of the organization, along with the responsibilities of the information services. The entity must abide by laws, regulations, contracts, agreements, and any other legal binding that the entity is responsible for. And not just that, but also there are legal requirements placed on the entity's systems, data management, and reporting obligations. Legal issues affect the entity's legal operations, as they will have to plan business activities around compliance of privacy laws, like the U.S. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, or the Protection of Personal Data Directives and Electronic Commerce within the European Community. A defining moment of the audit industry came with the implementation of the U.S. Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, which requires evaluating an organization's internal controls. Sarbanes-Oxley triggered new corporate governance rules, regulations, and standards for specific public companies, including U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) registrants. A mandate from the SEC is the implementation of a recognized suitable internal control framework. Other countries have similar requirements, like in Japan, they have the Tokyo Stock Exchange Principles. The framework most commonly adopted so far is the Internal Control Integrated Framework from the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Tradeway Commission, COSO. When planning, we must consider the impact of Sarbanes-Oxley as one of the regulatory requirements to observe as it relates to the level of control of business processes and the information systems supporting them. Similarly, if you are in the banking industry, you must consider any applicable regulations as well. Following are the steps to perform as ISO auditor to determine an entity's level of compliance with external requirements. Step 1. Identify those government or other relevant external requirements dealing with electronic data, personal data, copyrights, e-commerce, e-signatures, etc. Computer system practices and controls, the manner in which computers, programs, and data are stored, the organization or the activities of information technology services, IS audits. Step 2. Document applicable laws and regulations. Step 3. Assess whether the management of the organization and the IT function have considered the relevant external requirements in making plans and setting policies, standards, and procedures, as well as business application features. Step 4. Review internal IT documents at department, function, and activity levels that address adherence to laws applicable to the industry. Step 5. Determine adherence to established procedures that address these requirements. Step 6. Determine if there are procedures in place to ensure that contracts or agreements with external IT service providers reflect any legal requirements related to responsibilities. So that's it for now. During this video, we discussed the following topics. Effects of laws and regulations on IS audit planning. Are you ready to test your knowledge? Here are the questions again. Pause the video if you want to read the questions in detail. The answers will follow. Thank you for watching me, and I hope you watch me again.